Business, a podcast about business, marketing, growth strategy, staff, clients, babies, marriage. I'm Christina, joined by my handsome husband, Peter Pilarski. We are CIPR Communications, the leaders, the founders, and when people will be listening to this, Christmas will be approaching, which is exciting. Today I won interesting gift.
Why don't you tell everybody what you won, Christina?
This is like the funny power of social media, but I feel like think outside. My marketing tip in terms of this is think outside the box in your marketing. But
no pun intended.
I guess so. But if you're watching the video, you see my little I Heart Bonus mug. We're obviously Bonesians, if you know us, the community.
Bonus is a community in Calgary, if you're listening outside of Calgary.
Yes. And there's a bunch of great local businesses in Bowness, and the Business Improvement Association, shout out to Jackie, who's the executive director there, does a great job on social media, just doing different things and engaging the community in different ways. So this year she had every business owner on Main Street create a Christmas wreath, and she's created Instagram contests around all of them. So of course, I entered all of them as one does. And the Pilarski family has won the wreath created by the neighborhood Love Boutique. Yes, watch for my mug on Facebook as I go to accept my wreath.
Christina's on the board of the Bowness Community Association, so this is, I think, going to be the long-standing joke of Bowness for the many years to come. And I'm kind of confident that Jackie from the Bowness BIA may have rigged this one to make sure you won. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out.
I'm sure she didn't. Anyways,
it's pretty funny.
So back to marketing strategy. Obviously, contesting an interesting tactic.
Yes, good approach for many companies.
A marketing strategy, but so we talked business goals, which are so important. And now I want to talk about SWOT. So that SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, your threats. I think a lot of people consider SWOTs old school, right? I remember kind of, corporate Calgary, somebody at the front of a boardroom with a, easel and a smelly felt, writing, what are our strengths as an organization? But I think digitally, we now have so much data that it allows us to take a SWOT analysis so much further and gives us so much great information as we head into building a marketing strategy. But I know you have lots of thoughts around this one, Peter.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm kind of with you in that when I think people talk about SWOT, it sort of is this old thing, but really from a marketing perspective, think about your SWOT analysis. And I really encourage you to, while threats and weaknesses is definitely something that needs to be sort of considered and addressed a lot, I'd really focus on the strengths and the opportunities part as much as possible, and think about it from the context of, let's list all our strengths, let's list all the opportunities, and let's understand how that kind of relates to our unique selling proposition or our unique value proposition. What is it? What's our secret sauce, right? I mean, if there's many things that can come out of a good SWOT analysis, but if you can come out with a good understanding of what it is that makes you unique in the market, that will really help in terms of developing all of your language, all of your website material, all of everything for your marketing to really kind of communicate to your customer what it is that they're going to be able to get. That's that, again, that secret sauce with you when they work with you, right? So for me, that's kind of where my head goes all the time. Because it isn't the most sexy thing in the world, right? But it's super, super important because, again, at the end of the day, it's what is it that you are offering that's that can somehow be differentiated from your competitors?
What's interesting now, and we've done several competitive analysis reports for different clients and different businesses, and what always kind of makes me step back and say, wow, about these every single time is the amount of data that there is. And I think a SWOT analysis of 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, for sure 10 years ago, was I think, based mostly on assumption, right? Okay,
Yeah.
I see these guys in the market all the time. They must be spending a lot of money here. There's an opportunity for us or not. But when you have the information and the data digitally through something like a competitive analysis, all of a sudden it becomes very clear, all right, this competitor is investing heavily in SEO and they're not investing heavily in PPC. And so
Yeah.
the opportunity for us is here. The threat for us is that SEO side. Well, why don't you, Peter, because you know the competitive analysis piece so well, what are the things that we uncover in there for clients?
Yeah, so I guess what Christina's getting to is like maybe prior to going into a SWOT discussion, it's worthwhile up front to invest in some kind of research, so that you're not MSA making shit up and sitting in a room just like, oh, I think we're great at this and great at that. But yeah, in terms of like specifically for digital marketing, we have a digital marketing blueprint that we offer. I mean, not a digital market, sorry, a competitive analysis that we offer. And it's really about, basically positioning, seeing how you are positioned online relative to, 4 or more of your competitors, depending on the level of package you select. And it's really looking at the strength of your website relative to the strength of your competitors' websites. And that really tells you, are you even in a position to compete? And really, when I say the strength of your website, I always tell people, Google has a number, or search engines have a number of different things they look at when they look at a website speed, broken links, toxic backlinks. There's all kinds of technical stuff that needs to be okay for you to have a chance of competing online. And so, we look at that as a starting point and sort of understanding the health of your website relative to the websites your competitor websites that you're looking at. Second thing we look at is that sort of that really, where are people investing? Are people investing in content marketing and SEO? Are they investing in pay-per-click advertising? Are they investing in other areas? And often there's a lot of data available on through a competitive analysis to understand, at least digitally, where people are spending their money and putting in their effort. And then we also look at social media. So which competitors are investing in social media, which ones have strong social media followings, how are they leveraging those social media followings, and that includes things like YouTube, and like it sort of includes all of the places where people might be hanging out online, and sort of like understanding the strategies that your competitors are putting in with respect to, are they investing in videos on YouTube? Do they have a podcast? Are they just doing content marketing? Where are they on Facebook? Are they on Twitter? Where are they, right? And what are they doing there? And that really kind of then allows you to really understand, okay, here's where we're at, here's where they're at. Here's some opportunities, back to the SWOT analysis, here's some opportunities that we can really leverage to sort of get a gain on our competitors, right? And, I recently did one, I'll talk about 2 that I recently did, not necessarily full competitive analysis, but I do in my sales process sort of an internet business analysis as a starting point. So it's sort of a very, very high level look at the market. And, in one case, it was sort of like, hey, nobody in your industry is actually doing much digitally. And so this is a great opportunity for you. A little investment, you guys can crush it right away, right? And that was sort of really eye-opening for the prospect. And then the other case, it's like, hey, it was a realtor, and there's one realtor in Calgary who's head and shoulders above the rest, and it's like this person is 40 times over the next competitor when it comes to organic traffic, 40 times. And so the story there was, you're competitive in the set of competitors that aren't this guy. You told me your goal is to basically be this guy.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, you're sort of okay foundationally, but here's the work that needs to be done, right? Yeah. And then that's sort of a good starting point from which to talk about, your SWOT and where you should go, what are your strengths? And again, it's sort of like, what's your unique value proposition? Do you have a good enough foundation digitally to really make a go of it? And then where are the opportunities to exploit based on, where your competitors are strong or not strong, or where you're strong. And I always, we talked earlier about sort of personality too, but it's like also when it comes to digital marketing tactics, it's like, what's your personality and what are you comfortable with, right? And again, I'm going to go back to this realtor that I've been talking to, and he said, I'm not really that comfortable, doing a lot of media. I get really nervous, but I do like to talk. So maybe a vlog would be good. Yeah. And I said, okay, so we could do a vlog, have a blog, also that's tied to the vlog. And then that'll kind of take care of, basically a YouTube component and a content marketing component. And then we'll do SEO on that. Right. And so again, it's understanding kind of where you're strong, where you're weak, where the opportunities and threats are, so that you can devise a strategy based on what's going on in the market.
Yeah. So I think if I'm going to drill it down, it's about starting with some sort of competitive analysis and then being able to go over that as a team and then be able to say, okay, we clearly know our opportunities and our threats because of this competitive analysis. And then I think that also helps to inform your strengths and weaknesses. I mean, as a company where you're doing great and where you aren't. But sitting down and actually filling that in. And, we do this as a part of things we do with clients. Sometimes they need help kind of facilitating this conversation. And that's something we often do. And it's always interesting as the marketing agency building the marketing plan, being able to witness some of those conversations. And as the outsider, you get an even more in-depth look on what potential strengths and weaknesses are that you can add to that map. But once you have that, and we're going to talk about things like value proposition and creating those marketing goals, but knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, that clear lens of what your competition's doing, all those things seem to make sense. I think for me, we've talked a lot about my personality and my growth as an entrepreneur and a business leader on the podcast. And I think a lot of the times as a business leader, so especially if you're kind of a one-man show out there listening to this, it's easy to get lost in just, okay, day-to-day work and go. And I don't really know my goals or my strengths or my weaknesses. It's input in, input out, go do those things. But when you take time to look up, and I would say CIPR has taken time to look up this last year, especially, and say, what are our differentiators? Yeah. And for us, it became, all right, our strengths are the fact that we start with conversations exactly like this, right? We talk about business goals. We're not afraid to get really intimate, speaking of my prize, with our clients in terms of their business. And that allows us to be this great, robust strategy first. And I don't think a lot of marketing agencies do that. So I guess my marketing tip, if you're looking for a marketing agency to help ring in the new year with you, ask pointedly, how do you tie things back to my business goals? How are you looking out for my business in general as you create your marketing plan? I think those are important things to ask.
Totally.
Final thought.
Final thought, I think, is that when you're doing your SWOT analysis, like, be as brutally honest as possible. There's no value in you lying to yourself because, you just got to be honest, because the more honest you are, and sometimes it's about, hey, I need to take a look in the mirror and reflect on some of my weaknesses really, really, really firmly. Because that's the only way you're going to get improvement, by sort of lying to yourself and being dishonest and kind of, sort of discounting certain weaknesses or whatever, just going to bite you in the long run anyways.
It's true. On that note, don't let anything bite you in the butt.